Well, it's time for our traditional end of the year analysis video where we talk about what things were good, what things were bad. I should say this was the first year where I didn't have a safety net, so someone above me that would make sure I was all right. I don't even want to get into the stuff with this relative that we've described at various points, but it began with a bang. I mean, when you tell somebody you wouldn't have a place to live when you come back because they locked their door, you know you're going to have an interesting year. And for 11 months, I just did not have a job. And I've been able to get two, well, now one, because the other one was mad I wouldn't bend to their will. And really, I couldn't care less about being gotten rid of by them due to the fact that they weren't giving me any hours. Which, as I've explained before, the purpose of a job is to be able to take care of yourself. If you're unable to do that because they're not giving you any hours, then you might as well not even bother. Um, I mean, 8 hours a week was just insane to me. But though, they think that's normal. But this has certainly been, if there was one consistently good thing about this year, it was this website. I saw a 176% increase in view count over the past 365 days. I don't know why that is. It's a complete mystery to me, but I appreciate the growth, however small. Um, and really, that's always what I try to insist, that I can at most be completely satisfied with not making anything off of here as long as I know people watch the stuff. And it appears that they have, which is something I'm glad about. I will say that in terms of long term stuff, nothing excited me more than at least doing parts of that documentary I did, because that was something I wanted to do for a long time. I just didn't couldn't conceive of a manner to do it without feeling like I was, because I've always had this thing about the more time you put on one video and just, you get a few hundred views or something that's like not really that much larger than what you would normally get, so what's the point? So to cut it up into pieces like that makes it feel more like there's progress happening and not like such a strenuous workload on my part, where it's like, hey, imagine if I had put out some 8 hour video and only got, 600 views. Oh, okay, we'll do it where it's 30 minutes or an hour each time, and oh, it's getting even more. Okay, good. So that was a nice compromise I had with myself to, I guess, be more motivated to put out parts of it. I would say the lowest point of the year was probably in May during the homeless saga, because that thing with that relative happened, and we all were privy to it. We all know what occurred. I'm not going to repeat myself, but um, it's been just such a conflicting year because, again, no safety net, 11 months without a job. But at the very least, I finally got hired by somewhere. I don't know if they're going to retain me or not, because as we've explained before, these places will throw somebody away faster than you can say damn. I haven't seen anything so far that makes me think, oh yeah, this is your last week, these are your final hours or whatever. But you never know with these places. You always have to just kind of be mindful that they could stick a knife through your back and twist it. I guess all I can say is that I'm more so frustrated by the way people have acted this year probably than I have been in recent times, because you've seen some of the weirder things happen. We were talking about this woman where you're not even trying to get with her, but she has this boyfriend that thinks any man she talks to wants to date her, even if the man lives in another state or country. And even though she knows he's stupid for believing this, she still, bends the knee and acquiesces to it out of a desire to not be single. Um, and that encounter stung me so much, because it was like I thought we finally had killed it as far as all this like stupid stuff with chicks. I thought was done when I just stopped asking them out, stopped trying to talk to them and anything, on that subject matter. So to have someone who you kind of, just were talking to casually about the various things you had in common with them, turn out like that, it was really disappointing, for lack of a better phrase or turn. Um, All I can say is for next year, I want to do some more of these documentary parts, pieces, however you want to call them. Uh, there has been change on this channel. There has been an increase in views. It's not some big increase. I don't think I'm gonna be some big giant channel. I think I'm always going to probably just have 2,000 subs. Like that's gonna be my limit. And as I've explained before, I'm fine with people not subscribing as long as they watch, and they have been watching. Uh, because you can have a million subs, but if you're only getting like 10 views a day, it doesn't it doesn't really translate to anything transformative. That's why it's so funny to watch a lot of these channels that are much bigger, like celebrate subscriber milestones. Oh, I have 700,000 subs. And then you go and you watch the videos and it's like 15,000, 30,000, which is like way better than what I get, but it still is, just a tiny fraction are watching the stuff. So as long as people watch stuff, I'll most likely still put out content. It's been a really polarizing year. There's been some great things about it. Uh, Again, like the view counts and being able to like finally make a video or series of videos I want to do for a while. But then there's also been parts of it that were awful, like the 11 months where I was unemployed and I was not on unemployment, so it really was just me kind of having to keep squeezing out how many pennies you could, and counting to see if I have enough for this, that, or the other. Um, I hope that throughout this following year I don't go through that period again, because it was okay in years past due to the safety net, but not having that was a real detriment, and it was scary. So I will continue my transparency when it comes to some, these types of matters, and do some more documentary parts. Uh, I just hope that we don't see a repeat of some of the stuff from this year. Some of it was like, how low can you go as far as, oh, you thought this person cared about you? And my thing is, I never felt that way. It's just I was surprised by how blatant it got in terms of, you can go die, basically, like how much they couldn't care less. Um, but that's one of the reasons why I'm always so tight about going and spending any large amounts of money, because you just can't trust people, man. You can't trust them to have your back. You can't trust them to make sure you're all right. They're just liars. At least I've always said this about the internet. The one thing I like about online is that when people come and they call you out of their name and they say you're stupid and all the rest of this stuff, at least they're being honest about their antagonism. People in real life will frame themselves as being so concerned about your well being. Are you okay? But in reality, they don't give a hoot. You don't matter to them. And I'd rather have someone tell me up front that I don't matter versus like all these lies and pretending as if they're concerned about me. Like, I have more respect for the enemy I know than the one that, has to do the sneak attack, has to lower me into a false sense of security. It's one of the reasons why I say a lot of relationships are toxic, because you do all this stuff trying to appeal to somebody and then they don't actually care about you, so what's the point? And we've seen that with different relatives throughout the year. But it's for that reason that I say I really hope that there's some kind of uphill climb from now until the end of next year. Um, it's really just a matter of trying to make sure everything stays afloat and there's no further issues. Well, like I said, I'm very satisfied with the sub count. Excuse me, not the sub count, the view count. Sub count is whatever. I mean, I guess I could say I am satisfied with that because I don't really care anymore. That was always the thing in the past that dogged me. Like, I wish I had more subs. Now I don't even. It doesn't matter because most subs don't watch, so it's just adding to a number that doesn't mean anything after 1,000. Um, so as long as people watch stuff, I'll keep making things, and I'm just hoping that I'll be able to. I guess the one thing that I do dislike about working is just trying to make edited stuff and constantly having to like, okay, well, I've got 2 hours today to do this, so I have to go over here. That's one thing I wish that's like the only part of the job that kind of disappoints me because I don't follow the mundane existence, so my whole life doesn't revolve around, working for this place or whatever. So like I'm constantly thinking, oh, when I get home, I'm gonna write this, I'm gonna draw that, just because there's always something else to do. Uh, but I hope things get better as far as the management of time is concerned and the ability to go and like make things and do things I actually want to do outside of stuff just to get a paycheck. So it's been a really 50-50 type year. When it was good, it was good. When it was bad, it was horrible. Do I think it was as bad as last year? That's hard to say. Last year was probably more mediocre as far as just whatever. But and like that's why I said this year had its highs, like going to Alabama and Georgia, or going to these conventions, but or to two different conventions. But um, when the lows of this year were at their worst, they were worse than anything from almost anything from last year. So it really kind of just seems like it's more of the same. And I guess I always have to have that revelation that you're just never gonna have a year where things drastically improve. Like there will be, and they always talk about pills, all the rest of the stuff. I'm just being realistic. There's probably not going to be a year where your channel just grows exponentially, or I long since abandoned that romance stuff. But like there's never gonna be a year where you meet somebody and ride off into the sunset with them or any other crap. So I don't have it as expectations, but those are the types of things where I would go, wow, this was really different from what we've seen before. And this year was different to some degree, but just not in ways that I would really define mostly as being positive. So I hope that explains it. Uh, I know there was a lot of repeating. It's hard to describe a whole year in a video. What can I say? It's difficult to just summarize everything. But I do have a little bit of cautious optimism as far as, again, the fact I'm working somewhere again. I hope that I'll be able to retain my position. Because we've already discussed before, the one thing these jobs love more than an employee is to see an employee fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother? So if that happens, which I think if it does, it'll most likely be somewhere around February or March, I'm not going to be surprised. Um, but it will be, a setback, and I've had no shortage of those. So thanks for watching, and have a happy 2024.